Howdy, howdy do, Who fans. Welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 261.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems on a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that. I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy, howdy do, Who fans. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all keeping safe and healthy. Hope you've all had a cracking week. And that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
More so now than ever. Hope you've now done something Who related. There's plenty of Who around.
There is. Yeah, there's loads.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Torchwood's on iPlayer, which is good.
Yeah.
Which helped me out lots because when I watched this episode this morning, I finished watching the episode literally about 15 minutes before we're starting to record.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because Adam and I live streamed last night on YouTube, and afterwards I thought, well, it's cool. I'll do the live stream and I can have a bite to eat and watch Torchwood. And I totally forgot because I was watching something else. And I woke up this morning and I thought, slight issue. Because I'd seen it a few years back, but obviously for the review, I couldn't go into it. Not blind, but there'd be loads of like little details that I wouldn't, as you would expect. With our memories as well, it's equally as you can't do that. So yeah, so I got the iPad out and fired up iPlayer and watched it that way. So it's very convenient. It's all good.
It is good, isn't it? Something about having it all on the TV at your fingertips as well. I mean, even Doctor Who episodes that I've, got on DVD and stuff, when it's on sort of Twitch and stuff, it's so nice to have it just literally on the TV. Don't know what it is, why it's so different.
No, yeah.
At your fingertips, yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. So it's great that it's on iPlayer. And also, obviously, all of new Doctor Who since 2005 is on iPlayer as well. Yeah. Has they got the... I don't think they've got any of the Jodie stuff on there, though. I think it ends... no, I think it ends with... the Capaldi stuff, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, because I have seen the BBC advertised a few times. So that one of the Buck said Doctor Who series 12, but I don't know because I haven't really looked for it, so I don't know.
Hold on, I've got it here. Hold on. Series 12. No, it is all on there, mate. Sorry.
Yeah. Surely I was going to say surely they would put that on there.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that. I thought it ended with Series 10, but alas, it's all good. So yeah, that's even better then. So we've got all of Torchwood on there, all of newer Doctor Who. We just need Sarah Jane now.
We just need Sarah Jane, and I'll tell you what a perfect time to put Sarah Jane on. It's absolutely the perfect feel-good thing that everyone needs at this time, I think.
Definitely, man.
Start a petition.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. How cool would it be?
Sarah Jane on. Yeah.
What do we want? Sarah Jane. When do we want it? Now.
Now. Yeah.
So it is all cool. It is all good. And obviously, if you want to watch Classic Who, you'll have to fire up a different sub for that. You'll have to head over to BritBox. But at least so if you didn't subscribe to the other ones, so if you didn't subscribe to Netflix or Disney Plus or any of those things, you could have all of Doctor Who online, really. So you could have everything. Once they add Sarah Jane, hopefully they will. You've got everything on iPlayer, and then you've got all of Classic Who on BritBox. That's everything digitally there.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool.
That's why, the Radio Times did a voting poll this week saying, which would you like the BBC to repeat, Doctor Who or Blake 7? That's why I voted for Blake 7, because A, it's my number one show. Sorry, Who fans, but I love it. And B, I was thinking you can watch Doctor Who in so many different places. Like, give Blake 7 a chance. Get that on the TV, because it's not as easy to sort of get. It's not as easy to find. Whereas Doctor Who's everywhere, isn't it? So, but obviously Doctor Who won, of course.
Of course, yeah. Poor Blake. Yeah.
Blake. Actually, I fell for it. We're recording this on April the 1st, April Fool's Day, and I've already fallen for a really cruel. So there's a Twitter account I follow called The Making of Blake 7. It's a brilliant account. I don't know where he gets all these rare pictures from. Absolutely love it. And just as I was going to bed last night after live stream, it was about 5 minutes past 12. So he clearly couldn't wait to play this prank. I opened up Twitter and saw Blake 7 coming to Blu-ray at last. Make sure you pre-order it. If Series 1 sells well, more the rest of the series. And I was like, oh my God, finally the BBC are doing it, because they have been putting a lot of their classics on Blu-ray, like Fawlty Towers and Hitchhiker's Guide and Quatermass and the Pit. So it sort of seemed plausible. And then it was only literally after I liked and retweeted it, because I was so overjoyed it was finally coming to Blu-ray, I suddenly realised the date, because someone underneath had put, yeah, nice one. And I thought, well, what do they mean? Oh, no, it's living April the 1st, isn't it? I was like, oh, no, I fell for it. Felt like McCoy when he realises it's the Rani. It's the Rani, no. You all along. Yeah, but so I've already fallen for the first April Fool today.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for April the 1st these days.
Yeah.
So I always, I've fallen for a couple of things over the years as well. So I always take everything with a pinch of salt, and you'd be crazy to do a proper any company doing like a release or an announcement or something. You'd have to be crazy to do it on April 1st, because everybody would be like, yeah, whatever.
Didn't the BBC shop do a joke Marco Polo one year on April the 1st? I think they did. They put up like a coming soon Marco Polo thing or something. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. That sounds pretty
BBC
cruel.
shop.
Though.
Yeah. I think if you Google it, I'm sure it's still floating around. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Someone out there. I think that's where there was that's very cruel.
That is. Yeah.
I don't know if it was BBC shop though. That's the bit I'm not sure about. But yeah, there was definitely an April Fool's thing with Marco Polo that was a bit cruel.
Yeah. So we haven't got any news or merch to do this week.
We haven't.
Very light on that stuff, because there's just nothing. Yeah, literally couldn't find anything of worth to talk about. So no news and merch this week, Who fans.
Dalek Tat will be pleased. He's still sat in the garden, loving it.
Yeah. Do you remember at the end of anyone that's seen Shaun of the Dead? Do you remember at the very end where he goes out to the shed and he's got his mate as a zombie, sort of chained up? That's what Dalek Tat's like at the minute. He's in the shed, self-isolating, so he's chained up, and you have to toss him a few scraps now and then.
Yeah.
Little bugger. So yeah, he's happy because he doesn't have to come out the shed and talk to anyone, so he's all good. Before we crack on with our review of Torchwood, however, if you're new here, welcome aboard. Welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. Make sure you give us a sub. Just head over to whatever app or network you listen to your podcasts on, and just do a search for us. Or there's loads of links over on the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. We'd love to have you we'd love to have you as a subscriber, so that you don't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. And we're on the socials too: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So connect with us there, because we chat plenty of Doctor Who, and we're on YouTube also doing some live streamage, which is all good. So give us a sub there. And we did a live stream last night, didn't we, bud? It was all good fun.
That was really good fun. Yeah, it's really good fun indeed. An hour and a half just absolutely flew by because, we had lots of people chatting to us in the comments and stuff. And yeah, just lovely. It's a lovely extra way to engage with you lovely listeners out there. It was really good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, so give us I'll put a link in the show notes actually. But if you just go over to YouTube and search for the Big Blue Box, you'll find the channel there. Just give us a sub. That'd be cool. So come and hang out. We do those weekly. Mostly. So come and hang out and chat Doctor Who outside of the podcast. It's always great, as Adam said, to connect with you guys. So, yeah, love that stuff. And thank you to everyone that jumped on last night. We had some great chats and some waffle and stuff.
We did.
It's all good. So have you done anything, bud? Any Doctor Who stuff over the last week? We've been fairly chilled and...
I've been doing a lot of the rewatches. So on Twitter, there's been, like Russell T Davis and has come back to Twitter, and also the Mothball came back, and he's coming back again. If you're listening to this on the day the podcast comes out, he's actually coming back tonight to do a tweet along for the 11th hour, which I'm going to try and jump into. So I've been doing loads of those, and they've been great fun. And also our friends at Phantom, the Phantom events, they did a whole day of Doctor Who on YouTube last Saturday. I don't know if you caught any of that.
Yeah, it was in and out.
Absolutely fantastic. They like got loads because they do little conventions and stuff throughout the year, every year, and they've done lots of interviews and stuff for people, and they just dug out some really great interviews that they've filmed over the years. The one I particularly like, well, there was two actually. There's one with Jago and Lightfoot, Christopher Benjamin. Mm-hmm. Trevor Baxdale. That was a really, really lovely interview with those two. But the one I really liked was with Deborah Watling, Fraser Hines, and Zoe. Oh gosh, I've forgotten her name. What's Zoe's, companion Zoe? Zoe.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yep. Her. Yep.
Wendy Padbury.
Wendy Padbury. Yes.
That's the one. Yeah. There was them on stage, and they're just. Fraser's just such a cheeky chappy, isn't he? I love him, and he's got Wendy, who's really strong and forthright, putting him in his place to his left. And then you've got Deborah, who was just so sweet, just telling him off. And, it was just wonderful to see that stuff. I didn't realise they had so many treats like that in the Phantom archive. So they're doing another one this weekend, but it's with Philip Morris. And, I won't be able to tweet along with him because he's blocked me on Twitter. But so he's the guy that found the Web of Fear, didn't he? And the archivist or whatever. But
yeah,
I don't know why he blocked me on Twitter. He does. Yeah, he's quite vocal. Is Philip Morris? He teases a lot, and I think I must have tweeted something like, "Oh, just stop teasing the fans and tell us if you've got more or something," and then I was blocked. But I know he's really not been a fan of Series 12. He's been slagging off Series 12 something chronic on Twitter. So I'm hoping he doesn't take this opportunity to pick that up because, like you said, if we're all for having opinions, but he's a bit vitriol when it comes to stuff. But yeah, anyway, so I won't be able to tweet along with him because I'm blocked. But there we are. I'll probably still dip in just in case the wind's blown in the right direction or whatever it is he always says, and he's going to announce something new.
Philip Morris has blocked you on Twitter.
I think he's the only person I'm aware of that's blocked me on Twitter. I don't know. I'm not generally the kind of person that gets blocked. I'm not exactly a controversial figure on Twitter, but yeah.
Well, please make sure that you're able to sleep okay tonight, won't you? And
well, yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I'll try.
I know.
Sad times.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'll still dip in to see what they bring up. So yeah, they're worth a look on Saturday.
Yeah, it's from 2:00, from 2 till 5. It's called Time Space Visualizer: The Missing Episodes.
That's it.
Yeah, so just head over to phantomevents.co.uk. You'll see it on there already. Got a big banner there ready to go. So.
And I think they may have put some of those interviews I was talking about up online as well for you to watch. I haven't checked, but they said they were going to.
Yes,
so you might be able to find those interviews on there. They are really worth watching.
They have indeedy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, those guys are cool. It's great they're doing stuff like that because and they don't charge for that. You don't have to pay to go into the stream or anything. So
no,
that's great.
And they managed to get people like Sophie. They did an interview over Skype with Sophie Aldred live, which was really nice. She's talking about her book and stuff. And what's the other thing they got? They got like actors to come and do it. So they even got Graham Norton to pop in. And he like filmed a little bit saying, "Oh, I just thought I'd pop in and interrupt this broadcast," because obviously, when his voiceover came in on right when Rose was transmitted. So that was a nice little joke. And yeah, they really made an effort. I think it's really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's all I've been doing, really. I've had a lot of time on my hands, but I've been mainly doing housework. It's one of those things when you're quarantined and you can't leave the house. You just keep finding, like, you have to find stuff to do. And I've been, like, cleaning and, you know, sort of sorting out boxes, rearranging figures on the shelf, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I read you.
Yeah, but nothing exciting. Yeah, what about you, mate? What have you been up to?
Yeah, same, really. The rewatches have been cool, although I did miss the last one. I didn't do the Vincent and the Doctor one. I've got no excuse. I just completely forgot that it was going on.
That was really nice, actually. Yeah, so that was Matt Smith and Bill Nighy and Karen Gillan and Tony Curran. Is that your same name? Yeah. They all jumped on Twitter to tweet along, and that was lovely. It was a really nice watch along. That was just great to have them out on Twitter. I wish these guys would stay rather than jumping on, doing them, and then leaving again too. Well,
if fandom didn't harass them as much, then they would stick around, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I think, as I said last night on the show, I think Russell's still.
He's
still on there. Yeah, I think he's still there. So we don't want anyone to beep off Russell because he's still on there at the moment. So
yeah, that's cool.
He's obviously enjoying it.
Yeah, his Instagram's cool though.
Yes.
He puts quite a few cool bits on there.
Christopher Eccleston's Instagram's strange though, isn't it?
That's weird. Yeah.
Like if you didn't know it was like a verified account, you might be forgiven for thinking it was a you know. A rogue account, because he does post some weird stuff.
I think abstract is the word.
Abstract, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Chris, not weird. Abstract, yeah. I love following him because you just never know what is going to come up next on his one.
Talking of Chris Eccleston, I completely forgot. So last week or the week before when Disney Plus landed, obviously I signed up, pre-ordered and got that. And due to the lockdown, it was actually my missus, actually. She said, let's do a Marvel marathon at the weekend.
Oh.
I was like, okay, interesting. When you say Marvel marathon, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, all the films. Let's watch all of them. So okay, well, can't watch all of them, but let's kick it off anyway. On Sunday, we did like 4 Marvel films on Saturday, which is cool, and then on a Sunday we got round to Thor: The Dark World, and I forgot that Chris Eccleston is like the main villain in the big Marvel thing. So I got me thinking, I was like, oh, he's never really showed any interest in doing sort of big comic booky sci-fi stuff since Doctor Who. So I thought that must be a money spinner, that one.
Yeah, I always forget he's in that because he's sort of, is he blue? He's got like a blue face and he's all under.
Yeah, like a grey bluey.
Yeah. I forgot he was in that. Yeah.
Plays this dark elf character, Malekith, and it's not one of the better Marvel films. Like,
no.
Yeah, Nat, bless her, she was struggling at that point. Although she didn't mind the first half of it, but anyway, it was just got me thinking. I was like, crikey, I'd completely forgotten that Chris was in that.
I still need to read his book. That's still on the pile of books of must reads because I'm reading Sophie's book at the minute, Childhood's End. I'm so close to finishing as well. I reckon I'll finish it today. But I might start Chris's next because that is one that I genuinely sort of was looking forward to reading when I bought it. So did you ever get around to reading it? I can't remember.
No, I didn't even pick that one up. No.
Oh, have you not? Okay. No. Yeah, it'll be out in paperback soon. What do you think?
Yeah, that'll suit me.
Actually, it's not on the merch page yet, but I see that? I think Tom Baker's releasing a new biography. I'm sure I saw it on his Facebook page or something because it's not been like it's in the works, basically.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, and I'm looking forward to that because in his other biography, Who on Earth is Tom Baker, which has got him dressed as the Doctor on the front, I think there's about 2 pages about Doctor Who. He barely mentions it, so I'm thinking hopefully this is going to give us a bit more insight into Doctor Who.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Looks good.
That's a book you should read. I mean, it's even though it doesn't talk much about Doctor Who, it's a very entertaining read. Who on Earth is Tom Baker?
There's also an old Big Finish interview with Tom as well, which is good. I've forgotten what it's called. I think it's just called something to do with a conversation with Tom Baker or something like that.
Yes, it is.
It was out a few years ago. That's a good listen, though.
And also, if you ever want to laugh, I think they're called Dinners With or something like that. There's an interview with Tom Baker on YouTube. It's quite an old one. And, it's it's sort of back in the day when Tom had a bit more fire in his belly. And he's basically this guy used to just invite celebs around to sit and they would just chat and have a few drinks and a bit of dinner, and he'd film it. But Tom, I mean, they don't really get any questions in. Tom just sits there and just tells story after story, and it's so much fun just listening to him. But he's quite, the language is a bit bluer than perhaps he would be now. He's, he's a bit of a younger man there, and he's obviously had a few drinks, and it's But some of the stories he comes out with are just hilarious. It's a little bit uncensored, I suppose, is the best way to put it. So, it's not the genteel old Tom Baker that we love now. It's a sort of younger, fiery Tom Baker that we loved then.
Right.
Yeah, prepare yourself. But that's worth a look as well. That'll give you a laugh.
Yeah, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, bud. Should we do some reviewage?
Yeah, come on then. Let's get into it. Let's finally wrap up Series 1 of Torchwood, shall we?
Go on then. What is it?
So this one is called End of Days.
The first thing you learned when you joined Torchwood was don't mess with the Rift. Too dangerous, too unpredictable.
Shit! People are dropping through time and they are going to bring every disease in history through your doors. You scared enough yet? You can't control time. You can't send them back. What are you going to do?
All these cracks around the world, they're diversions. It's what Billis wants.
Open the rift.
For God's sake, we need to stick together on this.
I'm opening the rift.
That bloody rift.
That blimmin' rift.
An appropriately named phenomenon. Because it has caused a big rift within Torchwood.
Certainly has.
Bloody
all
rift,
screaming at each other and
yeah, nightmare. Nightmare. So the synopsis for this one is the rift is open, obviously, because they opened it, which is not good.
No, it's bad.
And now everything is going haywire, basically. Time is going nuts. They're all seeing premonitions and visions and whatnot. And and there's lots and lots of tension between the team in this one. It's all kind of built up over this first series, hasn't it? We've had little pockets of arguments and stuff and trust issues and everything going on, and now it's all built up. And Jack finally reveals his immortality to the rest of the team, which he can't really hide or get away from anymore. And it all culminates with the big beastie. Hello, beastie.
Yeah.
So he comes into the world and kills people without even touching them. Just his shadow is enough to kill people. And,
yeah,
which is kind of a cool idea. And then, it's down to Jack to save the day, obviously. And then he's off with the Doctor at the end. So, yes, end of days. Series 1. It feels like we've been doing Series 1 forever.
It really does. It really does.
What is this? Number 13, isn't it? I think 13 of, yeah. So it's been going on, I don't know, because we're on Series 3 of Sarah Jane, and we've gone through Series 12 of New Doctor Who, and we've gone through loads of other episodes of classic and modern Doctor Who. It just feels like, are we still on Series 1?
Yeah.
Crazy, but there we go. Anyways, we're at the end, dude. What do you reckon to this one and sort of as a finale to the series?
Yeah, I think it's quite a good wrap up of the series because it's been quite an uneven series 1, I think. And there's been some great bits. There's been some really sort of awkwardness. A lot of stuff hasn't worked, hasn't gelled. But yeah, so I think this has brought stuff together. And I think, the team are finally feeling like a team, although they're all falling out. But you're sort of starting to get them to know the characters as well by now. And I think this is a fairly good wrap up to the series. But having said that, it's quite a messy episode, isn't it? It's got a lot going on in there, but it sort of feels unsatisfactory somehow by the time you get to the end of it. But overall, I did enjoy it. I thought it was one of the better episodes of Series 1 so far. It's one of those annoying episodes. I just feel that it could have been a lot better, if that makes sense. Like, I enjoyed it, but I think, you had some really good stuff. You had Billis, you had this blimmin' Abaddon devil beast, and they don't quite get utilised as well. You could have cut out sort of 5 minutes of the sort of, because there's a bit where they start shouting at each other and they kind of have exactly the same conversation they've had 5 minutes before. Like, Jack's just having to go at Owen, you opened the rift, I did it to save you. And like, hang on, you've just had this argument literally like 3 scenes before. So I felt like, there were bits like that could have been cut, and we could have had, I'd like to have had more of Billis. I mean, where did he go? He just he just disappears, doesn't he? We don't see him again, which is such a shame because I think he's really good. I love Billis. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it. I just felt, just slightly like, there was good stuff in there. It felt like it needed another, run through of the script maybe. It felt like a sort of third draft that maybe just needed pulling up a little bit in a few places. But yeah, overall pretty decent, I thought, this one.
Cool.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
I forgot to do the roll call. Sorry, I'll do that now. So it was first broadcast on the 1st of January 2007. So a New Year's Day episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what a good way to start the new year, eh? So 1st of January 2007, and I think this went out at the same time as one of the Sarah Jane episodes, I think.
Oh, okay, probably.
Yeah, I think
because they were running side by side at one point, weren't they? Yeah.
I think so. I can't remember which one, but I know it went out. Invasion of the Bane.
Oh,
so this went out at the same time as the pilot for Sarah Jane. Anyway, it's a 50-minute long episode, roughly. It was written by Chris Chibnall.
Now there's a name I recognise.
Yes, it was directed by Ashley Way and, overseen by Chris Chibnall co-produced this as well.
Oh, did he?
But it was overseen by Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner. What do I think to it? So I thought this was one of the better episodes of Series 1 purely because there seemed to be... Everybody just seemed to have... They've finally got past this sort of what felt like a never-ending loop of everybody not trusting everyone else and all this backstabbing and all that stuff. And there were some home truths that came to the fore as well, which I'm glad about. And also there's some people that kind of turned a corner with their outlook and attitude to things. So I like the fact that Gwen has now kind of had her eyes opened as to just how much she loves Reese and all that stuff.
Yes.
And also Owen, who has kind of had a big chip on his shoulder for most of Series 1, which I know is part and parcel of his character anyway, but at the end when he breaks down and, gives Jack a big hug and all that stuff and all that, so that was good. The only thing that I wasn't too sort of pleased about is Tosh had hardly anything to do in this one, so she was very much what are we going to do with Tosh then? She can do some computery stuff for a few minutes and then she can throw a few lines in and that's it really. So she didn't have much to do. And as always, Yanto, apart from sort of rough handling a weevil back into its cell, he was just, he was just there in the background, not doing much at all other than planting a big one on Jack, which I think is the start of their relationship as we go into Series 2, I think.
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
So, and also I wasn't too fussed with the ending either. I thought the evil character, Billis, such a great character that they worked up, that he's popped up throughout the series. And I think in this one, he tricked Gwen, doesn't he? He tricks her into bringing Reese into Torchwood.
Yeah.
And he's got like a grand plan, obviously. He wanted to bring this big demon monster thing, Abaddon, into the world. But then, like you said, mate, as we were chatting earlier before we recorded, it's just a shame, really, because he just did the off. He just vanishes at the end, and the monsters. I felt like the monster. It felt a little bit like an old 80s B movie sort of moment at the end where he's just sort of. It's like one of those really old black and white Godzilla films where he's like stamping through the city and everyone screaming and running and dying. So it's okay, but it just doesn't have any gravity to it, really. Even though it's a huge, massive monster, it just felt like, oh, this guy's going to be defeated within 5 minutes. There's no threat really here.
And he wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I think that's the thing that took the edge off for me was the ending, really. Like you said, I assumed Billis would pop up in Series 2. I thought, clearly they've let him get away because he's going to come back. And I think he would have been great if he did come back. But as far as I remember, in fact, I'm 99% sure we don't see him ever again. I think good old Big Finish have done a couple with him. I believe. I'm sure. In fact, I know they have. I remember seeing him on the cover. So he's back on Big Finish, but he never pops up in the TV show again, which is a real shame. But yeah, the ending to me felt unsatisfactory, just because of that, and also I didn't really. And you often are quite good at explaining things that I've misunderstood or don't understand. I didn't really understand how Jack killed the Beast, because if the Beast is feeding off life energy, and Jack's full of life energy, surely that would make the Beast stronger, not kill it. Like, I just didn't get how Jack's life energy was killing it, to be honest. It seemed just like, oh, I need to wrap this episode up. Jack's full of life energy. I know that kills the Beast, but why would it kill the Beast? Surely it'd just make it powerful if it feeds off life energy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how
did you read? How did you see it? Because I just couldn't get my head around that.
So I read that as the Beast consumes life just by looking at or putting things in shadow.
Yeah.
And because Jack's immortal, that kind of it felt like Jack has got like an unlimited supply of life energy or life force, if you like.
So he can't shadow it.
Yeah, basically. So that just consumed him and sort of, that's what I got from that. But
yeah, no, that's a good way of looking at it, because it did bug me afterwards. I was thinking, well, why did that kill him? But yeah, I can go with that theory. That sounds about right. That's why I come to you for these answers.
Well, I don't have all. Just how I looked at it. I think it was.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
but that's the other thing that I wasn't too fond of either. Was that sometimes with Torchwood, it feels like we just default to the Captain Jack show.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Sometimes. So the other Torchwood guys, they kind of, especially, and there are a few moments in this episode in particular where their loyalty is put to the test.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where Jack's like, look, I need all of you to trust. I need like your undying trust. You need to trust me. And they all sort of throw that out the window, really. They all sort of run past him and go and open the rift, and they end up shoot the really cool scene where Owen shoots him.
Yes.
So they've got no faith in him anymore. It's all out the window. But then at the end, it's like, well, I know that in the last sort of 10 minutes, mate, we've all tried to either kill you or tell you that you're full of rubbish and we don't know who you are. But if it's still all right with you, would you just mind going saving the world just for a minute?
Yeah,
and we'll pick this up, when you get back. If you could just nip out and save the world, that'd be great. You'll be doing us a big favour. So I thought like, so there is a part of me that thinks, well, Jack wants to do it. He's like, well, take me here.
Of course he does.
That was the other thing as well. It was like, Gwen, no one else but Gwen, drive me to this place. And then she drops him off, and then he's like, now go. Just drive as fast as you can, do the off. So I found the ending just a little bit kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, really. It wasn't terrible. It was just, I felt it was a bit, so it wasn't very, it didn't have conviction, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
It was a bit
it's a bit predictable as well, isn't it? It's like, oh, Jack, of course Jack's going to save the day, because it's all been building up to that. I think if it didn't have the TARDIS sound of, the bit at the end, I think because I remember when I first watched this, when it first went out, I think I remember enjoying it. And then obviously, when you see that scene for the first time, you're like, oh, the TARDIS sound. I think having that extra little bit added on at the end, that really does, that pushes up a bit. That sort of, it almost just deflects from, thinking, oh, is that it sort of thing when it all wraps up. But it's sort of, if it didn't have that bit at the end, that sort of cliffhanger of Jack seemingly being taken away by the TARDIS, I think it might have been a sort of a weaker episode, if you know what I mean. It sort of adds something to it, that ending. But otherwise, I think, it's quite a weak wrap up, I think.
It was a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, I can't wait for this to finish. It was just when it was all done. Actually, no. When it was done up to the point where Captain Jack had came back and he gives everybody a hug and stuff. Up to that point, I thought, this is not the best ending of Torchwood I've seen. And then after that point, it does sort of leave you hanging. It did leave me wanting to watch it a little bit more, actually, because everyone's confused again. They've just had this bombshell dropped on them that Jack is immortal, it seems. He can come back from the dead. And then all of a sudden he's gone. Like, they go on to get coffee. Gwen's only in the next room. And they come back and they're like, where's Jack? I don't know. He was here a minute ago. So it's kind of cool that they've left some kind of mystery and cliffhanger as well. That's kind of cool.
I'd totally forgotten about that as well. Completely forgotten about that ending. So you hear the sort of TARDIS, you don't see it, you just hear the TARDIS land, and Jack's like, and then you see the hand in the jar bubbling, and you're like, oh, what's going on? And you almost, because I couldn't remember, I was thinking, Tennant doesn't like pop up in this, does he? I was thinking, they don't bring him in, do they? And I genuinely couldn't remember. And then obviously, yeah, you don't see the TARDIS, you just hear it, and then the next thing you know, Jack's gone. But then, like you, that left me thinking, oh, I do now. Where does that get picked up? Because it's not in series 2. Series 2 starts with a brand new story. So until this morning, until we were chatting, I couldn't remember where that leads. So it goes into Utopia, basically, doesn't it? The Doctor Who episode. So, but yeah, which is great. But yeah, I'd completely forgotten about all that stuff. I thought that was a really good ending. Like you said, it definitely left you wanting more, which is good, because some of the episodes in series 1, like we said, we haven't exactly been chewing at the bit to get on to the next episode. We've sort of been left a bit by some of it. So it sort of feels like they've sort of upped the ante a little bit, and they seem to be heading in the right direction. From memory, I think series 2 gets better, but we'll see when we start reviewing it. But I think they start to gel a bit more in series 2.
I think
things seem to click into place a bit better from what I remember.
I think so. And yeah, so I think series 2, it's only from, so series 2, the same amount of episodes. I think it's still got the same 13 episode thing going on.
I can't remember if they even mentioned this though. Like, so Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is the first story in series 2, sorry. I don't know, does Jack sort of waltz back in and like, oh, put the kettle on, I'm back? Or I don't know if they even reference it. I genuinely can't remember. I think they just start a new story, and this just picked up in Utopia, I think.
So in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the team are still cracking on as Torchwood.
Oh, okay.
And there's this big sort of alien hostage thing going on, isn't there, in the first 10 minutes?
I really can't remember. It's so long since I've watched it.
Yeah, and Jack just waltzes in. They haven't seen him for ages since he disappeared.
Is it raining?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Of course it is. If anything, every time, of course, he's got to make a dramatic entrance in the rain.
Yeah. He just walks in and just shoots this alien that they're negotiating with in the head, if I remember. And then
oh yes,
yeah. So we just kick off from that point, and like you said, there's no mention of anything to do with we were saying earlier, didn't we? We didn't realise we'd forgotten that this is all a big arc sort of thing of over 5 episodes. It starts with Captain Jack Harkness, leads into End of Days, that leads into Utopia, and then over on Doctor Who, there's a kind of loose 3-story arc with Utopia, Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords.
That's right. Yeah.
So these 5 episodes, they're kind of, they are definitely linked together, but they're never described as a definitive, this is a trilogy or this is a thing. So, and then, in series 2, mate, it's almost like it never happened. They just don't mention it. I think they mention it throughout the story, throughout the series, about a couple of things that happened in series 1, but not with any big significance. It's just passing references. But
the good thing is it has now left me looking forward to starting series 2, I have to say. Because we've liked Torchwood, but it hasn't had that Sarah Jane feel of, I can't wait till, like, when we get to a Torchwood episode, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Torchwood. But Sarah Jane, we've been literally, I'm loving this, can't wait till we review the next one, this is brilliant. So but this has left me sort of wanting to really get stuck into series 2 now, which I'm glad about, because I didn't want to get to the end of series 1 and say, oh, that wasn't as good as I remember, I'm not really digging it. So I'm glad that it sort of left us wanting more. Definitely.
Yes, and I think the first 2 series of Torch were like the main sort of bulk of the content, I think. And when we get into series 3, it's not really even a series, really, is it? It's like 3 or 4 episodes, I think.
What, Children of Earth?
Children of Earth. Well, it's 5. It's a 5-part thing, isn't it?
5, is it?
Yeah, and then Miracle Day, series 4. That they trim that down a bit. That's 10 episodes. So
I always think Miracle Day's really long. I know 10 is long. In my head, I always think it's like 20 parts or something. I don't know why. I'm glad it's a 10. And I'm kind of looking forward to revisiting that one because I don't even know if I ever finished it. I genuinely can't remember if I made it all the way through Miracle Day.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
I'm hoping that one will be one that I sort of like better on a rewatch. I don't know.
Yeah. So if memory recalls, series 3 and 4, so Children of Earth and Miracle Day, I think Russell takes the reins a little bit more for those ones. So in the first 2 series, they were, well, the main writer who he brought back the most was actually Chibnall.
Oh, really?
So he writes the bulk of the stories for series 1 and 2. But Children of Earth, for example, Russell wrote 3 out of the 5. And for series 4, he wrote the opening and the finale, but got like a solid regular writing team. So in like Doctor Who, with Torchwood series 1 and 2, there's lots of different writers that come in and do that. But for series 4, it's basically just Russell, Jane Eppenson, and John Chabon. It's just those guys mainly who are doing that. So I think Russell had a bit more of a tighter grip on the story stuff.
Yeah,
which is, I don't want to go into it too much, but I think is why I enjoyed the latter part of Torchwood's run versus the earlier part. So anyways, yeah, that's stuff we'll get onto, I suppose, at some point when we get onto series 2 next month.
I feel like I'm getting into it more, though. I think that's the good thing. I was, when we started reviewing Torchwood, we got halfway through series 1, and I've always thought I liked it more. I don't know, rewatching it again, it hasn't quite been as good as I remember. Well, I always obviously prefer it when it's the other way around. I like it. I'm hoping Miracle Day will be better than I remember, but series 1 struggled a little bit with it. There's been some good stuff, but I haven't really, I remember really liking it at the time, but I've found a lot of flaws in it as we've gone through series 1. And so it's good. I feel like I'm sort of really starting to get back into it again now, which is good.
Yeah, me too, mate. It's I think over the series it's been really surprising for me, because I remember just over the years when I watched Torchwood originally, I don't remember it being this, well, especially series 1, I didn't remember it being that disjointed and that hit and miss.
Yeah,
when
me
I watched
too,
it for some reason. But as you and I have gone through the first series, there's been quite a few episodes where we're like, it's okay, but there's been quite a few things that I just don't remember it being like that when I first watched it. I remember watching it thinking, oh, this is great. This is like, like the darker world of Doctor Who. This is, but yeah, it's just funny, isn't it? We always say this. It's funny how your opinion changes over the years and stuff.
Yeah. I think the thing that I've struck me most about series 1 up until this point is that the cast have been written in many ways to be slightly, I don't know if unlikable is the right word, but they're very flawed as characters. And, I said earlier, all the stuff about Gwen having all the affairs and all that sort of stuff. There's been a lot of things I thought they've been written to be, not necessarily that likable. Although I have grown to like them now. By the end of this series, I think when they kind of tackle some of those flaws in this episode, don't they?
Yeah.
That's one thing I did like about this particular sort of finale as well, is they do bring in elements from series 1 back, so we get to see what was the woman's name that went off in the plane, the one that Owen was obsessed with. She comes back as a vision.
What was her name? Margaret, Rita or something? What was her name?
Lovely Rita.
What was her name? Her name was,
I wrote it down as well, but I can't read my writing.
Diane.
Yeah, well, she comes back and
Diane. Yep.
We see Cyberwoman briefly, don't we? Although they have to give us a flashback to remind us who she is, I noticed. So she comes back to haunt Yanto. Who else comes back? So there's a sort of few little thread things that they plonk back into episode to sort of bring the series full circle. And I did like that. I absolutely gasped when Reese got stabbed, because, again, I'd completely forgotten that. I sort of felt something might happen to him, but when Billy stabs him, it's really horrible.
Yeah, that was well filmed. I
genuinely did go, not Reese. So we get all that stuff tackled about Gwen cheating on him. I actually thought that was quite a I kind of felt like she deserved that as well, because she's like giving the whole sort of moral high ground. And Jack's like, well, you say you care about Reese, but you didn't think about that when you were in Owen's bed. So, whoa, Jack, you're really not messing around. So yeah, I like the fact they sort of tied up a few bits of series 1 as well to make it feel like a final. I think that's why I enjoyed this episode in for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's, I guess, depending on how you look at it, that's kind of the appeal of Torchwood, I suppose, is that unlike Doctor Who, where it does have to be aware of a younger audience, Torchwood can be a bit more adults with it. I'm not talking about just like the sexual content and the swearing and stuff, but in terms of the themes that he writes into each story and the series as a whole, that whole, I mean, it's such a great, the way he delivers it as well, just no hesitation. He's like, and you're right, sometimes she's like that, which comes back to all those flaws that they've written into the characters, where she's taken the moral high ground, and he's like, yeah, shut up. He basically just brings her down to earth very quickly. Yeah. And she doesn't like that. She gives him a big old slap, and and it all sort of continues to boil away, all this tension and all this.
The tension in the episode is very good, actually. Yeah. I think that's because there is a lot of shouting and screaming, and sometimes that can just cascade into being boring. But I think in this, they get the tension level about right. There was times that I thought it was going to sort of borderline into that OTT, but the stuff with Owen as well, I thought was good, because there's that bit where he's like, well, I'm off now, because Jack throws him out, doesn't he? Which I sort of found unintentionally funny, but he's like, well, I better say goodbye, because he's going to retcon me. And you sort of had visions of Owen sort of checking his shoulder, in the alleyways and stuff like that. Like, when's he going to do it? Like, I know it's going to do it. When's he going to get me, sort of thing. But I thought that was quite good as well. I liked all that stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. I've got a question for you.
Oh yeah.
As I was meant to say, actually, that scene where Billis just appears in the cells.
Oh yeah.
In Torchwood and stabs Reese. The way they filmed it was really harsh, because Billis has got no expression on his face. But I've got a question for you. Why did Billis stab Reese?
Don't have an answer to that. Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Like, what has Reese done to Billis?
Yeah, what's his motive? What's Billis's? Because from what I gathered, the motive for Billis was to just open the rift. Sorry, I've just figured it out as I've said it. Yes. So Billis knows that in order to get Abaddon out of the rift, it needs to be opened fully. Because at the moment it's just split open, isn't it? And it's, time's rupturing and stuff.
Of course. Yes.
So if Reese is dead, that's going to trigger those guys
over the edge,
to push them to. I've answered my own question. Yeah. So,
it does. Yeah, that would be it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool scene, though. It's
creepy as hell.
It is. Yeah. And there's another really creepy scene as well. There's a bit where Tosh's mum appears in the hospital.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they're talking in Japanese to each other, and then as somebody walks in front of her, she just vanishes. And I know it's just that. All of them are having these weird sort of visions, I suppose. But that one was particularly creepy, because when Gwen has her vision, it almost feels like real life. Like Reese has still got emotions, and they're laughing and everyone's happy. And when Diane turns up, when Owen's in the bar, she's very emotional and stuff, and he gets emotional and stuff. But when Tosh sees her mum's got this kind of
stern,
dead eyes. It's almost like a horror film moment where, so I found that one particularly creepy. It was very cool, though. That was a cool part of the story, having these various visions and stuff turn up, which kind of prompts them into doing certain things.
That's the thing. I like the bit with Reese, because he shows him dying in the flat. It's quite a good idea, because obviously she then thinks, well, if I get him out of the flat, that can't happen. So I like that sort of idea of, trying to change the course of the future, even though it's all going to go wrong. But I also found it frustrating, though, because he's in the cell and he wakes up and she's just staring at him, and he's like, what are you doing? And she's got plenty of time to just say, look, I've had to move you because it's going to save your life. Just, that's all she needed to say. But instead she just doesn't. She gives him all this cryptic dialogue that just probably made him feel even more anxious. I was thinking, Gwen, just tell him he's locked in there because it's all kicked off and he needs to be in there to be safe. So, she had all that time to explain, but she just keeps saying all this cryptic, trust me, darling, or whatever. It's for your own good. But she doesn't actually tell him. I'm like, it really frustrated me. I'd like, if I was in that cage, I'd be going crackers. But yeah, all she had to say was, I've had to put you in here because it's all kicked off and it'll save your life.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it, about Gwen and Reese, is that you feel really. I don't know about you, but I feel really bad for Reese throughout all of series 12. I
love Reese. I think he's a great character. Really do like him.
He is. He's such the way that he's been put across as well, which is completely intentional. I get this, but he always comes across as a real, just likable guy. Like he's, I'm sure he has his moments, like all of them, and I think we do get to see a lot more of him in series 2. But the way
we saw quite a lot of him in this, in terms of he's pretty much naked for the first 10 minutes.
But the way
that old little slap of the bum at the beginning.
The bum cheeks, yep. The way that Kai Owen plays him, though, it just makes you feel even more sorry for him, because Gwen essentially just treats him like crap throughout most of the series, and so you do get a feeling like I said at the beginning, it does make her feel like a light bulb's gone off, like, oh my God, like I can't lose him, because she acts that scene really well when he dies.
She does. Yeah.
So that bit in the cells where she's literally screaming at some of her lungs and she's hitting Jack and stuff, and then later on in the kind of hospital bed bit, they've got the infirmary bit in Torchwood, where she's also goes nuts at Jack, and that's when they all storm off to go and open the rift. Eve Miles smashes that.
Yeah,
those scenes.
She's really good, Eve Miles. And that's the thing. I really like the character of Gwen as well. I think she's a really good character. But then there are moments like that, like you said, because I love Reese as well. You do feel really angry with her when she does stuff like that. Like the fact she cheats on Reese, and like she said, she does treat him like dirt a lot of the time. But overall, I do really like her character. But yeah, I suppose it's good in a way, because like people are like that. We've all got our flaws, so it's good really that she is written like that. But yeah, there are times that I just want to scream like, oh, poor old blimmin' Reese, like, yeah, you don't deserve him.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But then you see that she really does love him. Like you said, that scene in the morgue, she's acting absolutely superb, and you do feel for Gwen, even though she's like made mistakes, because you sort of feel like you can relate to it. We've all made mistakes. You think she's now sat there thinking, full of regret, and she's thinking, oh, but if I had one more chance, I need to treat him better and all that. So it does all come full circle, I think, in terms of, although I don't like some of the storylines, I think, yeah, okay, it makes sense when you get to that, because now she's, full of remorse, and so it needs to be there in that sense, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. No, it does, totally. Yeah.
I'm just glad they brought him back, because even though I knew he'd come back, when he got stabbed, I was saying to my other half, I was like, how does he come back? I was like, I don't remember him being stabbed. Now, how does this? Because I was thinking, don't kill Reese. And if I was watching this for the first time, which, I would have been back in 2007, I'm sure I would have been screaming at the set saying, not Reese, because you would assume, oh, no, it's the final. They killed him off. Oh, no, because he hasn't really been a major character in the series up until this point. No. He's kind of been there in the odd, nice little scene, but watching this for the very first time, and I don't know if you can remember, you probably did think they'd killed him off. He seems like the sort of character of, oh yeah, he sort of popped it now and again, and now they've killed him off, sort of thing. Glad they didn't, though. So glad they didn't.
No, he's a great character. And like I said, I really like how Kai Owen plays him. He's just got this kind of confused look about all the time. He's like, what are you... He has no idea what she really does for a job, let's be honest.
No.
She stays away for nights on end. She's very cold and all that stuff. And he's just cracking on. He's just like, you can tell he loves her. So
there's a very natural... the acting between those two is very natural, isn't it? Like I think they're quite believable, those two.
Yes.
Because very often, a bit like, I know I joked about the scene at the beginning where he slaps his bum, but she laughs it's like quite a genuine laugh, and I almost felt like, was that just an outtake? Like, did he just get up and do that? And she laughed and they kept it. You know what I mean? It feels quite genuine, I think. I don't know that they're friends in real life, but they feel like they're really, you can just imagine that they get on very well off screen, because the chemistry is good between those two, I think.
It is.
Even though it's quite sort of, their relationship's quite strained at times. The sort of the nice moments between those two, they feel very genuine. So I'd like to think they get on well off screen. It certainly feels like they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you catch Jack legging towards the TARDIS at the end?
No.
You have to spot it. So at the very end,
does he?
At the very end, there's an aerial shot of Cardiff Bay and Roaldale Pass and stuff, and the camera sort of zooms out. You can see Jack running towards the TARDIS. It's very small.
Well, the TARDIS is actually there.
Mm-hmm. You can't see it in detail. It's just like a little blue.
Oh, I didn't spot that. I just thought it's because so many aerial shots of Cardiff. I just thought, yeah, of course they're going to end on an aerial shot of Cardiff. I didn't spot. No, I'll have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, it's tiny because it's a real high aerial shot and the camera's zoomed out.
Yeah,
you can just see somebody legging across the Roaldale Pass. There's a little tiny. You can tell it's the TARDIS, little blue block. It looks like.
Oh, I'm going to have to have a look. I did not spot that. No.
Yes. Yeah. Murray Gold did a bit of music for this one.
Oh, it is Murray, is it?
Yep.
That's one of my notes, is that I thought the music was really good in this. It sounded like Murray, but then we've said that a few times in Series 1 and it's been someone else. Yeah. So it was Murray in this one, was it?
Well, it's Murray Gold and Ben Foster together.
Oh, Ben.
Yeah. It's quite cool, actually. I didn't mind the music in this one.
No, I thought it was very good. I thought because there's quite a lot of emotion in this episode. It's a lot of scenes where people are, really laying it on thick. And I thought the music really complemented it well. So, yeah, I did make a note that the music was good.
Yeah.
Is it Ben Foster? Was he the conductor guy at the Doctor Who music? Or was that his brother? Because
no, it's Ben
Foster and...
No, it's Ben Foster, yeah.
What's his brother's name? He's also a musician.
Yeah, but no, it's Ben that does all that stuff. Yeah. Yes. And what did you think? There's another quite emotional scene where Jack essentially just lays into Owen in front of everybody. So when this is all kicking off, in a nutshell, Jack says, "This is all your fault, mate. If you hadn't have gone and opened the rift, this wouldn't be happening." And that's where we get the whole sort of argument between the two of them. It's played out very well. And Owen's sort of standing by his guns, and he's like, "We don't even know who you are, mate. We don't know anything like that." And then it comes to the point where Jack's like, "Look, I've had enough. You're going to have to, you're out of here." And then that's where the whole thing falls apart. But that was a great scene, though. And then Gwen's obviously annoyed. She's like, "Well, you didn't have to bully him in front of everybody." But Jack, he doesn't care.
I thought Jack was being a bit of a bleep, to be honest. I was like, Jack, Owen, save your life, mate. Give him a break. There seems to be this sort of jealousy thing as well with Jack, doesn't there? He seems to be slightly jealous of the fact that he knows that Gwen and Owen have been doing the dirty as well. Because he sort of brings it up later on, and he does make a sort of mention of it when they're having that first argument as well. So I don't know where that's all come from. But yeah, I mean, it does work well. It was entertaining to watch, but I did think, when Owen shoots him, I kind of thought, I think I would have done. Well, no, actually, it sounds bad, but I kind of, because Jack's not going to die, I kind of wanted Owen to fire that gun and blimmin' shut him up for 5 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's just like, because he is a bit sort of, not pompous. What's the word? He does, he's a bit full of himself, isn't he?
Jack,
he's a bit of the big I am sometimes. He kind of needs shooting in the head now and again, just to. Because he does go back alive, listeners. Don't worry, I'm not being harsh.
Yeah, well, I found that a bit inconsistent as well with this story. We've seen it in quite a few episodes where Jack's very much like, "You don't need to know who I am, really. You don't need to know what's going on. Just trust me."
Yeah.
So in this one, there's a bit where I think it's that scene where he's having an argument with Owen, where he basically says, "Look, it's your fault," blah blah blah, and then he's like, Owen's like, "So what the hell are we going to do then?" And he's like, "Well, let's get this sorted out as phase 1. I'll let you know what phase 2 is." He's very much keeping his, keeping it sort of to himself, and nobody's buying into that at that point. But then later on in the story, Jack actually says, "I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to stop this sort of thing." So I thought, so we had like literally 20 minutes prior to that, it was like, "Trust me, you guys have got to have like complete trust in me. I know what's going on. I know how to stop it. And I'll let you know what phase 2 is when we get to it. And then 20 minutes later, it's like, how do we stop this then, Jack? I don't know.
Yeah,
I literally I have no idea how to stop it. So they have to be careful, I think, with that, with his character, because while it's not going to use the word fun to watch, but while it's cool sometimes to see him take charge and be like, look, I'm the lead. I'm the dude that's Torchwood, basically. I know what's going on. Sometimes it can fall flat a little bit when in the same story you've got him basically like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fix it.
When he's on the slab at the end, cold and grey and blue, and you just know it. And you're just waiting for him to come back, aren't you? And Gwen's sort of watching over him. She can't accept it. I mean, it's a nice scene. I was expecting him to almost do like, the Doctor when he comes back a lot. No, it's Jack actually, isn't it? I was waiting for him to do the big gasp of breath of coming back to life, but he doesn't. I was waiting for it because that scene goes on for a couple of minutes, so any second now he's going to go and come for, but he doesn't. He just says thank you, doesn't he, or something? It's almost as if he's been awake the whole time. He just wanted to be cruel and
he's having a crack, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Gwen. But I do love that. That room. So there's a sort of slow-mo shot of Gwen walking away from the body. She's finally given up waiting.
Yep.
Is that CGI or is that, because I really do like that design. It's got like 2 sort of loops either side of the walkway. We've seen that room before.
Is that
actually a set? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't work it out. Half of it looked real and half of it didn't. But it's a nice simple design. But I was thinking, the Torchwood layer is actually pretty cool, and it's pretty cool sort of set and design and everything. I do love all that stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. They moved away from some of the silly looking CGs. Like early on in the series, we had this scene where the bloody pterodactyl flying around the hub and stuff, and all of that CG. And there's another bit where Jack and Gwen, or it's just Jack, is on this big lift that's taking them up to the bottom of the fountain at street level.
That's right.
And all that CG and stuff. So they moved away from all that rubbish. After
it blows up a bit as well, doesn't it, in this one? Like it does take a good old battering.
Yeah.
Torchwood, it does explode. Like Jack's office blows up. Mm-hmm. But no, I agree with you. Yeah, there was some bits that are a bit OTT, but I like the Torchwood layer. I like it when we get to see a bit more than just the Weevil stroke Silence of the Lambs type prisons. Yeah. But we knew he was going to come back, didn't we?
Yeah.
Of course.
So I think overall, this was really good sort of character performance episode for me, really. If you take aside, take out the fact that the rift is open and all that jazz, and the big Abaddon monster and all that, it's actually really good progression for all the Torchwood characters. I think that a lot of them were kind of hit with a big slap of reality, and I think a lot of them got all of their frustrations out, and everybody's maybe on the same page a bit more. So it was good that all of these tensions and trust issues that have been building up across the series have kind of sorted themselves out to a degree, I suppose.
They did bring all those bits that have sort of been dangling throughout the series, some of which we've liked, some of which we haven't. It was good. Yeah, they've all sort of come to a head in this episode to make quite a good finale, haven't they?
Yes.
What did you think of the Abaddon monster, like in terms of its design? And also, did you think the CGI looked good? I mean, I suppose we're talking how many years ago now? 13? Is it?
When was it? 2007. So yeah, 13. It was okay, actually. It wasn't too bad.
I like the design. It looks a lot like the Beast from the Beast Below. No, not the Beast Below. Sorry,
the Satan Pit.
Yeah, it looks a lot like that.
Yeah,
you were saying they're related, weren't?
Well, that's by design, yeah, because this is the son of that character. So that big beast character, this is the son of that. So yeah, by design, it does look very similar. Although I think when they did the Satan Pit and that story, I think they were going for a very traditional, like devil-looking thing, whereas this guy's a bit more science fiction-y kind of thing. So I didn't mind it. Like I said, it was my least favourite bit of the episode. But in terms of CG stuff, it was okay. The only bit I wasn't too taken with, there was a bit where you see, like, from behind the creature's shoulder as he's walking across Cardiff.
Yep.
That looked a bit ropey.
It did. It's funny because I like the design of it. So when you open up Wikipedia, it's got a picture of it leaning over two birds. I like the design of it, but I remember like the very first time I watched this, there's quite a big build up to him being revealed, and I thought, so waiting to see what finally was gonna hit the screen. And I do remember thinking back in 2007 when he first appears on screen, I just remember my heart sank a little bit, thinking, he doesn't look very good. Like in terms of, I thought the CGI looked bad. I was like, it kind of looks like they didn't quite have time to finish it, if you know what I mean. It's almost like you can imagine them sort of doing the CGI and he's about 90% ready, but I just want to do a bit more grading on him and I just need to put a few more features. We haven't really got time. So I always felt like he just looked a little bit unfinished. But actually watching it again last night, it's not as bad as I remember. I think it's decent enough because he's not in it as much as I thought he was in it more than he is. I think it's okay. I think it could have looked better, but like you said, the worst shot is the shot of his back. That's it. Just there's something about it. I think they've done like an aerial shot, but they've superimposed like the CGI back of the monster. That looks pretty bad, but the rest of it, it's not as bad as I remember. But at the time, I remember thinking it wasn't particularly a good CGI monster, but it's all right. But I do like the design of him. I just feel like he just feels like they didn't quite have enough time to do him properly somehow.
No, I read you. Yeah, I'd also like to see the Billis character do a bit more as well. It felt like he was a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah, because he's so good in the scenes he's in. I mean, just to quickly talk about Murray Melvin, who's a lovely fella, by the way. He's great as Billis. He's very unnerving. I mean, God, his eyes, they burn into you through the screen.
Yeah,
don't they? He's just got one of those faces which and he is one of those people that looks really evil and scary, but if you ever get to meet him at a convention, he's a lovely fella, Murray. But yeah, I wanted to see, he keeps popping up and you're so intrigued by the character and all the clocks, and he's just such a great character and so well played. It's such a shame that he literally just vanishes in the middle of the street. He's like, my work is done. Ha, 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 ha. Evil laugh gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was a bit of an anticlimax. It was.
Well, I wonder why they didn't bring him back.
Yeah. Well, I think, so anyone that really likes that character, he did come back in a Big Finish story. So the Big Finish box set, Aliens Among Us.
He's in that, is he?
He's in episode 6 called A Kill to a View. So he's like stars as like the baddie in that. So he comes back for that one. So if you want to check out any more of his characters in that. But like you said, and you are right, he doesn't pop up again in Torchwood, the TV series at all. That's it.
Oh, that is such a shame.
Yeah. That was a bit, I just wanted his character to be the driving force behind what was going on. It turns out he was just a bit of a servant for some god that was, relying on the rift, which he didn't even do anyway. Someone else did that, and he was just sort of driving the motives to do it, really. But yeah,
he's almost used better in the previous story, isn't he, Captain Jack Harkness? He's quite intriguing in that story, but again, he does just sort of keep popping up in different locations. It's very similar to this story, I suppose, in terms of what they do with his character.
Yes. Yeah. So there we go. Have you got anything else on your notes, bud? You want to go through?
Not really. No, I think pretty much covered it. Oh, there is only one other note I made, which was nice to see Andy the policeman back again.
Oh, PC Andy.
I do like PC Andy.
Oh,
that's my
him.
only other note.
Yeah.
I just literally put PC Andy ! Yeah, I just think it's really cool. Him and Gwen again. There's that sort of comedy sort of relationship between the two of them. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was he was in the very first episode, wasn't he? And he
was. Yes.
Yeah. No, he's
Well, I think he was anyway, but he's definitely in the earlier one. So yeah, it's just good to see him back. He's one of those characters that you only see for a couple of minutes when they're on screen, but you sort of instantly like them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's funny.
So,
he's like
good old PC Andy.
Yeah, just pretend that I believe what's going on for a second. Jack's looking at him like, well, it is true. He's like, well, just suppose it's true, and he tries to get his head around it. Yeah, he's a cool character actually. Yeah,
I like him. I can't remember if he pops up again. I think he does. I've also got a horrible feeling he might get killed off. I don't know. I'm really hoping I'm wrong about that.
He probably does.
Oh no! Don't kill PC Andy. I don't know why I think that. I've just got this gut feeling but I hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I love it when he just pops up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We shall see as we go into the rest of the series. But don't kill off PC Andy.
His name just sounds ridiculous as well. I don't know why. He just sounds like a character from like a kid's animated show. Here comes PC Andy.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Anyways, I've got no other notes, bud.
No, I've got no other notes. No.
I think it's me to go first, anyways.
Alrighty. What are you giving it?
I'm struggling with this one.
Me too.
Yeah, because
I'm in between two scores.
Yeah, me too. Because when I think about certain elements of the story, I'm like, yeah, I like that. It's all good. And some of the performances were amazing, really good. But then I thought, some of it's just not hitting the target. I don't know. So I think I'm going to go with a 7.
A 7, okay.
Yeah, I was flitting between a 7 and an 8 and an 8.5 actually. So I think I'll go with the 7 actually. Yeah. Yep.
Fair enough. I was flitting between a 7.5 and an 8 because I was going to give it 7.5, but then I looked at my scores for some of the other Torchwood episodes, and this is definitely one I've liked more, and I've rated some of them 7.5. So I'm going to give it probably a generous, but I'm going to give it an 8 because overall I did enjoy it, and I thought it was quite a good wrap up to series 1. So, but that's slightly generous, but I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, that's cool, bud. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah. I think if they'd have just worked on the ending a bit more, it would have probably went up to an 8 or a 9 or something, but it's still good. It's still a solid episode of Torchwood. They're one of the better ones from Series 1.
Yeah, and I did think it brought Series 1 to a good conclusion. It brought everything full circle, and it left me wanting more. So, yeah, it was decent.
Cool.
A decent conclusion to the first series.
All right, dude. We had a few reviews in, as always, which is good. Some audio clips. We're going to kick off with Matt Steele.
Hello, Gary and Adam, Matt Steele here again. Hope you guys are well and staying safe during these weird times. Anyway, this is my review of The End of Days. So I'm surprised I didn't get Trinity Wells in to read the news headlines. The character of Billis I found was fascinating. It's a shame they didn't bring him back at a later date. However, Big Finish are doing such a great job at fleshing out his character. Is it just me, or does the wallpaper in Gwen's flat look a little like the classic TARDIS roundels? Jack's not written to be very nice in this story. Seems he's more interested in staying in control than saving the world. The CGI for Abaddon does not hold up at all, and Jack is hamming up his performance when he's being drained. The whole Jack waking up to Gwen's kiss scene is really cheesy and quite cringy to watch. However, the ending makes you want to jump straight into Utopia. A decent story, the stakes were high, however the CGI and some of the acting let it down for me. They should have just kept Billis on as the main villain. I give this story a 6.5 out of 10. I hope everybody listening and you guys just stay safe and healthy during these weird times, and it'll hopefully all be over soon.
Okay.
Cheers, Matt. Yeah, Jack, hamming it up? Surely not.
Surely not.
Surely not. Even when dead, Barrowman can ham it up.
Yeah.
I didn't notice the wallpaper. I'm gonna have to, when I go back and look at this TARDIS shot you mentioned, I'm gonna have to have a look at a wallpaper as well now. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. No.
I will have a look, Matt.
The roundels. Yeah, cheers for that, Matt. Good as always. Moving on. This is Craig Bryce.
Hi guys, hope you're both well. So, Torchwood Series 1, the final. Now, I've been back and revisited the whole of Series 1 over the past couple of days, mainly for this story, End of Days. My opinion has changed on it massively. It is better than what I remember, but it could have been so much better. I'll tell you why in a moment, but first of all, the cast were great, especially Eve Miles. I think this is her best performance in the whole of Series 1. When Reese is killed by Billis, you can really see the emotion on her face. She's broken. Her performance is fantastic. That brings me to Billis. Movie Melvin's performance in this is brilliant. Why wasn't he in it more? I'd rather them cut out the whole of the Abaddon stuff, which wasn't really needed, and just stuck to Billis and had a final showdown with him. He was fantastic. Not on screen enough, but luckily he comes back in a couple of Torchwood audios. This is Chris Chibnall's best story for Series 1. Let's forget about Cyberwoman. I'm going to give this 7.5 out of 10. If they'd have cut out the Abaddon stuff and just had more Billis, it probably would have been an 8.5. Cheers, guys. Thank you. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.
Yes, agree with a lot of that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Craig. Yeah, which just came back to a couple of points about this Abaddon thing. On paper, I think it's a great concept. But if you think about the execution, I don't think it was in the story long enough to make any sort of decent impact or threat.
That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah, it kind of turns up, gets defeated, gone. Yeah, you're right. It's not there long enough to care about.
Yeah, and it wasn't teased or brought into the story in an effective way, I don't think. If you think back to the Satan Pit and the Beast Below, those stories, that whole thing was teased. It was really creepy and quite scary for a lot of that story. And then when we got the big reveal of the story and we saw the scale, when some of the camera shots, you saw David Tennant in his orange spacesuit looking tiny, and then that huge beast creature and stuff. That was done effectively well and quite cool. But like you said, then this one, he sort of turns up at the end, stomps around for a bit, gets killed, and that's it. So, yeah, if they'd have cut out that stuff, done more stuff with Billis, I think we would have been on to a winner.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, Craig. Thanks for your review, buddy. And lastly, this is that cheeky chappy. This is Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gary and Adam of the Big Blue Box podcast. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you're doing well. The End of Days, or just End of Days as it's called, is a very mediocre finale to Torchwood Series 1, which in and of itself is a very mediocre series of television. Torchwood gets a lot better, but this is not the best ending to not a great series for me. Abaddon! That's the thing I remember the most from the story. It's just a bit strange and a bit weird. I don't know. It doesn't really feel very finale-esque. I haven't seen it in a while, but I don't remember it. And if you don't remember a finale, is it a good finale? But the things I do remember, I don't really like. So I'm going to have to give it like a 5 out of 10. I don't like being negative. This is weird, but I mean, needs must, I guess. Have a good rest of the show, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.
Okay, don't worry, dude.
Go and give it another watch, Alex. It might be better than you remembered. Then again, it might not.
It might
go
not.
And give it another watch.
No, that's cool, mate. It's I think Adam and I kind of share your view on that. It has been a bit of a mediocre experience for us going through Series 1 of Torchwood. We've really, really liked some episodes, and other episodes have just fallen completely flat for us. But it wasn't a bad wrap up to the series. It was a decent. So it was just good that there were two things that brought it together. Really, it was one of the better Torchwood series, and it was a decent way to finish up as a finale as well. So give it another watch, mate. You might like it. I don't know, but yeah. There we go. That's the audio clips. Over on the socials, we had a few over there. Caitlin Dalek 100 said, it's genuinely quite good. I think one of the things that lets it down is the big CGI monster, though. However, I really liked all the cast in this, with all the twists and turns that this story has to offer, which is good. Murray Melvin as Billis is an absolute villain, so 8.5.
Okay.
Our writer, Jordan Shortman, says, I do like this one. Billis is a villain who should have appeared in later series of the show because he's so good. Abaddon looks a bit dodgy CGI-wise, but an imposing monster nonetheless. And I really enjoyed the rising tension throughout. A good way to end Series 1. TARDISnet 66. It's good until the big monster shows up. There we go.
Yeah.
Davros says, epic feels of this one. A good end to an up and down first season. Jack at his best in this one. Just feel that Torchwood tries a little too hard sometimes, and that can hold it back, ironically. But a good solid 7.5. And Sarah Louise, the running Whovian, says, a very engaging story to end the first series. A great concept, and Billis is extremely creepy. I wouldn't have held his hands. Interesting to see the consequences of Owen's actions to save Jack and Gwen, and the team conflict that ensued. It felt a bit like King Kong at the end, but overall a 9 out of 10.
Does.
Over on Facebook, we had Kevin Mullin said, not a bad little episode, this one. I love how the tension builds up until the arrival of Abaddon, which looks quite impressive as it strides over Cardiff Bay. Billis Manager really should have come back in Series 2, as he is a truly brilliant character. 6.5 demonic entities out of 10. Kevin says, take care, everyone. Be safe, be well. Joseph Howarth says, it was a nice finale for an otherwise okay first season for me. Liked how there was a lot of tension building towards the end. It's good that everyone got some character development. Billis was a great character and made a good villain. Not the best, but definitely worth watching. A 7. Miles Mackenzie. I find it a very strange episode, but probably one of the better stories of season 1. All the cast were great, and there were some great little character moments, especially with Jack. Overall, a 7.5. Hope you're both keeping safe in these mad, strange times.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, dude. And lastly, Dean Jones says, a decent finale to an otherwise mixed bag of a first series. Despite the odd moment here and there, Tosh's excitement of seeing Owen back whilst Gwen is grieving, for example, the cast were pretty good and the drama and stakes felt engaging. Billis is a decent presence as the antagonist, but the resolution of the plot rushed. But nice link to Doctor Who Series 3 at the end. A 7 out of 10. So plenty of 7s. And
decent scores.
And a few 8s. So, and I think we all share a common... I think the consensus is that this was a decent finale to end up a fairly mediocre-ish up and down Series 1.
It's taken a while to find its feet, isn't it?
Yeah. Rightio. Next week, bud. What are we on to then?
So next week, and this is genuinely coincidence, isn't it? We didn't really this just sort of happened to be the next story that we picked, and we'd completely forgotten about the ending to End of Days. So next week we're doing Utopia, which is a really, really nice coincidence because that follows on, well, directly from the end of this, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So Utopia next week, 10th Doctor.
Yes, and like Adam said, this is 100% coincidence accident. So when I was putting all these things in, I was just going back to each Doctor. I was like, all right, we've got Modern Who this week. Let's have a look. Oh, we haven't done that one. Let's do that one. So yeah, it's a nice little happy accident that we lead on to Utopia. So get that watched, as we'll be asking for your reviews and stuff next week. And I think we'll do there, bud, for 261.
All righty.
Thank you so much for sticking with us here at the Big Blue Box and listening to 261. It's been great to have you aboard, as always. I hope you guys are all taking care of yourselves and keeping safe and healthy and all that stuff. Make sure you stay home unless you have to, and just listen and watch Doctor Who. There are worse things that you could be watching at the moment, i.e. Sleep No More.
Don't keep mentioning it.
There are worse things you could be watching. Anyways, thank you, as I've said, massive thank you to everybody as always, and thank you for sending in your audio clips and your other reviews and thoughts, or the best part of the show. We love hearing what you guys think to the review stories. Next week, as Adam said, we're on to the 10th Doctor, Utopia, so get that watched, get your Blu-rays or your DVDs out, or iPlayer, fire that up and get that watched. So keep an eye on the socials on Monday. In the meantime, head over to our website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows over there. Plus, you can link off to the various podcast networks and apps, so you can give us a sub so you don't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. And if you've got a minute to leave a review or a rating, that would be awesome, because it helps us out so much. We're also on YouTube now, so head over to YouTube to a search for the Big Blue Box. Or I'll put a link in the show notes. Give a sub over there. We do live streams, which is very cool. Come and hang out and chat Doctor Who when there's nothing else to do during the lockdown. Or even when there isn't a lockdown, come and join us anyways. And we're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Give us a like and a follow over there. And also check out my co-host channel over on YouTube, The Geeks Handbag.
Yeah.
Loads of cool videos there. As always, just grab a cup of tea, grab a cuppa, settle in, and go and check out loads of Adam's videos. So much cool stuff over there.
Cheers, bud.
We will be back next week for episode 262, reviewing Utopia and going through whatever news emerges upon us at that point. It's looking fairly quiet at the minute, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have something. But until then, please take care of yourselves, stay healthy, stay safe and all that lot. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...